Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure, is sponsored by SJ&L General Contractors. They are licensed in both Alabama and Tennessee, and they provide services such as mass grading, storm drainage, sewer and concrete improvement, asphalt paving, erosion control, demolition, and heavy hauling. If you need any of these services, contact them 931-433-4660, 931-433-4660. Also, they are in need of heavy equipment operators, concrete finishers, CDL dump truck drivers, and pipe layers. If you're interested in employment with this family-owned business, you can go to the website www.sjnl.com. That's www.sjnl.com. I used to bow hunt some over off Zert Road before all the new houses and all of the construction took place. You drive out west and then you turn at Zert Road just at a stakeout. I remember walking into the stakeout one afternoon dressed in full camouflage and asking the young lady behind the counter, "And what radius do you guys deliver?" And she quoted some kind of a mileage thing. And I laid a topographical map in front of her and said, "Well, I'm going to be right here. So if you'll come south on Zert Road and park your car when you see the little black pickup truck, and if you'll move relatively north and follow the obvious trail, I'll see you, especially if you'll wear something orange, and I'll guide you to my tree, maybe about, say, 1:30 or 2, and bring me a steak sandwich and a bottle of Diet Coke." She declined to deliver to my exact location, something about I had to actually be at a house for them to bring food to me from stakeout. I hunted that area quite a bit with a guy named Kerry Richardson. Kerry's one of the guys who kind of got me interested in bow hunting. He actually loaned me his bow one time when he was going to be out of town and said I could just kind of warm up with it and learn to shoot. Other than a failed, embarrassing attempt at goat hunting in which we were technically trespassing, we actually did some deer hunting together. I believe Kerry's history of deer hunting originated somewhere in Walker County. And there's some kind of suspicion in Walker County that if people know where your stand is, they will backstand you, or maybe they will come in and hunt the deer that you're hunting, or maybe even steal your equipment. So Kerry was somewhat paranoid and didn't want people to know where we were hunting. And so we would be at the truck and just about to go into the woods, and Kerry would say, "Now, when we come out after dark, we need to signal to each other, but we don't need to talk, and we don't ever need to use each other's names." And his idea was we need some kind of signal. Very serious about his deer hunting, very serious young man when it came to his deer hunting. And so he looked at me one afternoon. He said, "Can you owl hoot?" I said, "Yeah, I can imitate an owl." He go, "Okay, so when we get close to the truck, you start owl hooting and I'll answer you back." He said, "Let me hear it." And I defaulted to the Andy Griffith, Barney Fife owl hoot. Looked him dead in the eyes and went, "Hooty hoo, hooty hoo." The look on his face was priceless, and I thought he might slap me across the side of the head with his bow. I had another opportunity to imitate an owl. I was on the Anderson Farm near Cookeville, Tennessee. I was a guest speaker in the area. They had invited me over for a meal and then spend some time just relaxing before I had to speak. And so I had come by, and while we were there, I had the opportunity to shoot an old 1940s era 1911 Model 45. Now, we had some rifles and a BB gun involved as well. The young son, Reese, and his sister, Emmeline, are the Anderson children. Now, Reese is quite a shot, and Emmeline is the little sister, and she wanted to be around the guys and the guest preacher, and she wasn't really sure why. She is cute as a little bug. Her dark frame glasses, her angelic little face are only rivaled by her bouncy personality. We walked out to the back of the property, and they had some steel targets set up. And just after firing a few rounds from the old Colt 45, we heard from an old owl that this noise had disturbed him. To me, it sounded like a barred owl. An ornithologist told me one time that the hoo, hoo, who cooks for you kind of meter of their sound is distinctive to the barred owl. The response to the gunfire was probably like a shot gobble with a turkey. We fired, he fired off because we'd shocked him or woken him up or disturbed him. Once the noise died down, I tried to get him to answer me again, so I did my best owl hoot, neglecting the Barney Fife hooty hoo sound, and actually gave it a legitimate try. I actually tried to sound like a barred owl. I sounded off, and sure enough, the old owl called back. There was a second owl now in the mix, and I tried to imitate that call and also got a response. Little Emmeline took a sharp intake of breath. Her eyes widened behind those little glasses, and she said, "I didn't know you knew how to speak owl." Of course, that prompted me to try again in order to see that smile and the amazement in those little eyes. And so I called, and I got a response. She said, "You really do know how to speak owl. What are you saying?" I'm just letting him know that I'm here. What is he saying? Now that was tricky. I didn't want to admit that I really didn't know. I didn't want to admit that actually I don't speak owl. I just kind of sound like one. I wonder if our children hear us talking about God or talking to God and then see us live our lives and come to the conclusion that we really don't understand God, that we just sound like Christians. A predictor of a child being spiritually at risk is the answer to this question. Do your parents profess things in public that they do not practice in private? If the child answers yes, then there's a very high percentage that this child will be involved in some kind of spiritually at-risk behavior and are at risk of falling away from their faith. You may never get questioned directly. A little one may never look at you and say, "What did God say to you? Is that how God said you should treat mom? Is that how God wanted you to handle that situation?" But the little ones hear the Christian sounds we make, and then they watch how we live. And then they decide whether or not we actually know how to talk to God and whether or not we actually understand what God has said to us. There are 32 miles of cave passages in Cumberland Cavern. 333 feet underground is the Volcano Room. The Volcano Room is the site for the youth rally known as Erupt. It's an underground youth rally. It's an annual event. It takes place in October. The next Erupt is scheduled for October of 2021. Erupt is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. If you'd like more information, you may contact them at eruptyouthRally@gmail.com. That's eruptyouthRally@gmail.com. Or check out their website for more information, 3 W's and a dot, eruptyouthRally.com, www.eruptyouthRally.com.